Hello everyone, welcome to my update US gossip channel. The courtroom was packed, tension so thick you could almost cut it with a knife, and there sat Christine, poised, calm, and ready to finally call Robyn out in front of everyone, a fire burning in her eyes that no one could ignore, while Robyn, usually so composed, was already sweating under the weight of the glare from both the judge and the public eye, and you could see it in Kody's face. A mix of disbelief and a creeping realization that things might finally be unraveling around him. It all began when Christine laid down the evidence about the $50,000 family fund that was supposed to be shared for communal expenses but had allegedly been mismanaged, siphoned, or outright hidden, and she didn't just present numbers on a page, she walked everyone through text messages, bank statements, and receipts, pointing out inconsistencies and outright contradictions in Robyn's earlier statements. And every time she leaned over the table to highlight one glaring discrepancy, Robyn's composure seemed to crack a little more. Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat, looking as if he wanted to disappear into the wood paneling, and even the judge raised an eyebrow in a subtle but unmistakable signal that something about Robyn's story wasn't adding up. Fans watching from home could practically feel the tension through the screen, because this was the moment many of us had been waiting for. A showdown that had been simmering for years behind the polite smiles at family gatherings. And Christine, who had so often been portrayed as the quiet, methodical sister-wife, suddenly transformed into the ultimate force of accountability, a woman on a mission to expose mismanagement and to finally, publicly, set the record straight, while Robyn's legal team scrambled to contain the damage, throwing up procedural objections, trying to redirect attention. But Christine's competence and thoroughness seemed to cut through every diversion, and there were moments when you could hear whispers from the courtroom gallery, "Wow, she's really doing it," and "Robyn looks like she's about to break," and every fan on social media instantly lit up with speculation, screenshots, and commentary, because no one had ever seen Christine like this, no one had ever seen the usually reserved, understated sister-wife take center stage and go full-on truth warrior, and the way she framed each allegation, from questionable fund withdrawals to missing receipts, was meticulous and precise, leaving no room for plausible deniability, as if she had been quietly collecting evidence for months, waiting for the perfect moment to drop it all at once. Meanwhile, Robyn's demeanor began to shift visibly, her usual calm, almost regal posture giving way to nervous fidgeting, a tapping foot, clenched hands, and eyes darting around as if searching for an escape route, and Kody, for once, seemed unsure how to intervene, caught between defending his wife and acknowledging the glaring problems Christine had outlined, a tension that felt almost cinematic in its intensity, because for years fans had watched Kody maneuver between his wives, trying to keep harmony while maintaining control, and now it seemed like the very system he had built to balance his relationships was turning against him, collapsing under the weight of transparency and truth, and it all spiraled when Christine, with surgical precision, revealed the emails where Robyn had allegedly directed funds from the so-called family account into personal accounts without disclosure, and the room collectively gasped, a ripple of disbelief passing through the court reporters, the other sister wives who had come to witness, and even the spectators who had never been involved but felt the magnitude of the scandal, and the camera panned in on Janelle and Mary sitting quietly in the back, expressions unreadable but their eyes betraying the mix of vindication and long-suppressed frustration. And it was in that moment that you realized, this wasn't just about money, this was about trust, power, and accountability within a family that had always presented itself as a united front on national television, and fans immediately started tweeting, posting, and debating. Robyn's finally getting exposed, Christine is a hero, Kody looks lost, and this could change everything, because the fallout wasn't just theoretical, it was tangible, unfolding live in front of the nation. And Christine didn't stop there, she continued to break down the numbers, showing patterns over time, illustrating how certain family fund expenditures didn't match communal needs, and how repeated attempts to question or clarify had been stonewalled or deflected by Robyn, and every point Christine made, every piece of evidence she presented, added another layer of credibility to her claims, making it increasingly impossible for Robyn to maintain her narrative, while Kody, often the peacekeeper, now looked cornered, realizing that defending Robyn here would make him complicit in a public scandal that could tarnish his reputation with fans, and yet he remained seated, a mixture of loyalty, denial, and desperation flickering across his face, like someone watching a slow-motion train wreck of his own making. and as the courtroom drama reached its apex, Robyn tried to interject, her voice quivering, attempting to explain or justify, but Christine's controlled yet sharp responses cut her off, redirecting attention to the facts, the paper trail, the undeniable evidence, and even casual viewers could sense the shift, the power dynamics flipping, Christine no longer the quiet observer but the active force of reckoning, holding everyone accountable. And then came the damning piece of evidence. A ledger that traced $50,000 from the family fund into unaccounted personal expenses, and as the judge examined it, nodding gravely, you could almost hear the collective intake of breath from the audience, and social media exploded with speculation. Is this the end for Robyn and Kody? Christine finally did what we all suspected, the family fund scandal is real, and Kody's downfall is beginning, and inside the courtroom, Robyn's shoulders slumped slightly, her mask of composure slipping as she realized the game was up, while Kody's jaw tightened, silent but clearly aware that the narrative he had controlled for so long was crumbling in real time, and even the other sister wives, who had previously been careful about public judgment, exchanged subtle glances of satisfaction and relief, because Christine's actions didn't just reveal financial discrepancies, they laid bare the emotional and relational strain caused by years of secrecy and avoidance, and as Christine summarized, her voice steady, unwavering, she said, in effect, that accountability wasn't just about money, it was about integrity, family honesty, and transparency, and in that moment, you could feel the weight of history pressing down on Robyn, who had often positioned herself as the caretaker and the stabilizing force, now forced to confront accusations that threatened her image, her marriage, and her public persona, while Kody, who had often appeared to balance multiple worlds, seemed to teeter under the pressure of having to defend decisions that now looked increasingly indefensible, and the fans watching from home couldn't help but comment on the irony, the drama, and the unfolding spectacle, as Christine's meticulous dismantling of Robyn's defenses created an almost palpable tension, the kind that only comes once in reality TV history, when one spouse, usually in the shadows, finally steps into the spotlight and turns the tables, exposing long-hidden truths, and as the court proceedings drew to a temporary recess, the whispers, stares, and camera flashes captured a scene of utter chaos for Robyn and Kody, while Christine remained the embodiment of calm and control, the architect of a revelation that no one could ignore, and speculation ran wild. Would Robyn recover? Would Kody try to salvage his image? Could the other sister wives capitalize on this moment to redefine family dynamics? And through it all, the $50,000 family fund became a symbol, a microcosm of larger tensions, trust issues, and power struggles that had simmered for years, now erupting in a public arena, forcing every participant, from Christine to Robyn to Kody, to confront the consequences of their actions, and the fans, online and offline, erupted with opinions, memes, and hot takes, debating who was truly at fault, who had been brave, who had been manipulative, and how this would ripple through upcoming episodes, social media, and perhaps even family relationships. And as the court adjourned for the day, with Christine walking out calm but victorious, Robyn visibly shaken, and Kody in a rare moment of silent reflection, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same again. The family fund scandal had become more than a financial issue, it was a turning point, a moment of reckoning that exposed vulnerabilities, loyalties, and fractures within the Brown family that fans had speculated about for years but had never seen so vividly documented, and the buzz, the drama, the speculation, and the inevitable fallout promised to dominate discussions for months, if not years, to come, cementing this courtroom showdown as one of the most dramatic, revealing, and emotionally charged moments in sister wives' history, a perfect storm of accountability, scandal, and raw family tension that left everyone, from the audience to the family members themselves, wondering just how much more would be exposed, how far the repercussions would ripple, and whether Robyn and Kody could ever reclaim their former standing, or if Christine had, with surgical precision, permanently altered the trajectory of their story, forever embedding herself in the annals of sister wives lore as the sister wife who finally pulled back the curtain, revealed the uncomfortable truth, and set off a chain reaction that fans, insiders, and the family alike would never forget. And as the courtroom slowly emptied, the whispers didn't stop, the tension didn't dissipate, and even in the hallways, you could see how each glance, each subtle movement of the Brown family members spoke volumes. Christine walked with measured confidence, the kind of poise that comes from knowing you've dismantled a narrative meticulously, while Robyn trailed behind, her face pale, eyes glossy, and the weight of the exposure pressing down like a leaden cloak, and Kody, who had long relied on charm, deflection, and a careful balancing act to manage his plural family, now seemed uncertain, unmoored, as if watching a carefully built structure crumble from the inside. Unable to stop it, fans online erupted into a frenzy of theories, memes, and live reactions, sharing screenshots of Christine's damning evidence, debating whether Robyn's actions constituted malice or negligence, and speculating whether Kody's silence was cowardice, complicity, or deep regret, while commentators highlighted the irony that Christine, often the least vocal, had become the moral center in this high-stakes, public reckoning, and as the cameras caught snippets of Mary's subtle smirk and Janelle's quiet nods of approval, it became clear that the other sister wives had long suspected mismanagement but had never had such a dramatic confirmation, and the fans felt vindicated, thrilled, and horrified all at once, because this was the kind of spectacle they had been hoping for, a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the consequences of secrets and power imbalances within the family. And as news outlets picked up the story, headlines flashed: Christine uncovers $50,000 family